throws me off. Good morning. Welcome to Willow Legal Group Coffee Chat, first day of May. Today we're talking about independent trustees and why you may want an independent trustee, who can serve as independent trustees, all of that. So, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So when we're talking about trustees, a lot of times our clients like to name an adult child, a family member to serve as the trustee once the client has passed away or become incapacitated. And in many cases, that's totally fine. But there are some times where you might not want to name, especially one of your adult children. And one of the reasons for this is if you have multiple children, you may not want to put one in charge of the others. Maybe because of conflict, maybe because you don't want somebody to feel bad.
Left out.
Right. So there are other options. And so we call those independent trustees. And so I guess, what do we mean by independent?
Yeah. So there are two options, right? An unrelated family member or a good friend, not, maybe one of your siblings or family friend, not, I'm trying to think of not a spouse of not a child's spouse.
Yeah.
Is independent.
Not someone who's like a beneficiary.
Right. Yeah. Or could have control over a beneficiary. Right. And then the other category is completely independent. So companies who act as trustees. And those oftentimes are a really good option for people that have more complicated estates, are passing on bigger assets or assets that take a bit more time and sophistication maybe to manage and ensure that they're growing properly for the benefit of your beneficiary. And so oftentimes having a completely independent third party, such as a bank, to manage those assets and be neutral makes sense. The flip side to that is banks and corporate trustees like that charge up to 1% of the total cost. And so, good and bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But, and that might not matter. So another time we see independent professional trustees is for people who just don't have anybody that they trust in that role. And if you don't have that friend or family member that you would want to oversee management of your assets, then an independent professional trustee is often a good option. And, the fees are there, but they may not be a deal breaker. And the other thing to note, though, too, is most of the time trusts allow any trustee to take a fee.
True.
But family members tend to not, but they're allowed. So, it may or may not be a big deal. And if you feel strongly about fees for your trustee and you don't want them to take it, you have to put that in the documents just to make sure.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point in if you don't have anyone else around and thinking about or talking with people who are aging solo or who, whose kids are further away or really busy or they don't have kids, using an independent trustee and using a trust in your estate plan actually really helps. It allows you to appoint someone, such as a corporate trustee, to manage your assets, and that will cover incapacity. So, if you're a solo ager and you don't, you want to be able to have someone help you manage your finances, having a trust and having a corporate trustee in place would allow someone to step in before your death, when you become incapacitated, to manage your assets. And that's a really good option to work around. Oftentimes they won't act as a power of attorney, but they will act as a trustee of the trust, and the trust can own the assets. And that's a good workaround of how to find someone to manage things.
Yeah. So lots of options when it comes to trustees, and it might not be kind of who you think the most obvious choice is.
So upcoming events.
Yes.
Next. We had a great time last week.
Oh, yes. We haven't been on here since then.
No. We had a great turnout and a great time with folks at our Pints and Planning event. And I think that worked out well enough that hopefully we will do more of those there in the future. It was a beautiful location,
Yes.
and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we saw lots and lots of people out at Only Days, despite the crappy weather.
Chilly, rainy weather. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Lots of people did come out. So it was
A lot of fun. And then May 23rd.
Yes, May 23rd, we are doing things a little differently. We're going to do our monthly wine and wills, but we're going to do it as a lunch edition. So it'll be a lunch and learn at 12 o'clock. And wine, of course, is optional for this one. It will be a webinar, though. So, yeah, if you can join us, we'll put the registration link in the comments. If it's up yet, it might not be up yet. As soon as it's up, we will make sure we get the registration link.
Yeah. So good way, good opportunity to pop in on lunch, or if you can't, you've been meaning to get a husband or your parents on, it's a good way to send this out and get everybody on at once.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, have a great week.
Yep.